right, so now we're going to move into some blouses, and we're going to just talk about some just fundamental things about blouses. The first thing I would suggest you do when you're measuring a blouse, and all of Silhouette Patterns have what we call finished garment measurements. And for so many of you, I say to you, what do you like in a blouse? And you come back with, I don't know. That needs to change. So what I would like to see is you measure, and you can just literally take the blouse and measure right through the widest part of the bust. That's really the circumference of the blouse. So this measures 44 inches. My physical body measures about 38. So that means I like about 6 inches of extra ease on my blouse, and that's exactly what it is. It's ease. But for many years, what we've done is we've picked out a pattern according to our bust measurement, and we never really have paid attention to what the actual garment measures. So go through and just measure some of your blouses to see what they literally measure so that you can tell what you like. And the best place to measure them is right through the widest part, and that one measures 42. So you can see that they're all coming in right about the same. Most likely they will. This one we're going to try on and measure, because I want you to see this, because I like it, but I don't. It was a gift. But anyway, so I wear it just for that reason. I can measure this, and I can see it's measuring 46. And what you're going to see is it's just almost too much fabric. For me, I just don't really care for it. I love the blouse, love the gift idea, but just feel like it's too much fabric. So you got to decide circumference for yourself and how much is enough and just not too much. And I just don't like that extra. But keep in mind that blouses have more ease than any other garment we're wearing. So it's really important that you know how much ease it is that you like. So once you've decided circumference, we're going to assume that you understand circumference, what it is, how to change it, make sure the waist is okay. Through the magic of television, we're going to try on these different blouses and then show you what else to look for. But right now we're going to assume they're all the correct circumference. We're not going to deal with circumference. We're going to deal with tweaking the other parts. But also what I would suggest you do is when you have a blouse, and I ask this question a lot, is what size armhole do you like? And people look at me like, what? What do I like about the armhole? What size armhole do you like? And I've done this in other DVDs, Success from the Start, we did it in several others. But just lay the French curve down and go through and figure out how many inches that armhole is, because then I can simply repeat it every single time. I'm going to move over to my pattern just a little bit, because what we're going to see is that once I have an armhole I like, I can use that same armhole over and over and over and over and over. And that's the goal. The goal is to not, do this. I'm not trying to get you to do a bunch of work, but I'm actually getting you to do the minimal amount of work so that you can really come in and get that garment to be just right. All right, so we're going to be back. We're going to put on our first blouse, and then we'll be back and show you what's wrong and what's right about it. All right, so we've got our first blouse on. We already knew circumference was going to be okay because we measured that according to how many inches we knew we liked. And now we want to put it on and just make sure there's some things that we can fine-tune it. Now, keep in mind that when I used this blouse, I was completely aware that there's no darts. So immediately when you see a blouse or a pattern and it has no darts, you're going to know there's going to be some problems. There's no way that that fabric can change direction. So the result of having no darts is I'm going to have some gaps, and I'm going to watch for those gaps. But we're going to start at the shoulders and we're going to go down. And if you look at the back of this particular garment, what you see is some angular wrinkles outside the shoulder blades. And those angular wrinkles are a result of the shoulders being the wrong, they're too square. My shoulders slope more than the blouse does. So you can see that when I pinch up at the shoulder seam, and I'm actually just going to put a few pins in there so that we can see the difference. When I put a few pins there, those wrinkles go away. Now that's what the draping process is. It's getting rid of the wrinkles. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure how much it is and where it is, and I'm going to take it back to my pattern. So you can see on that side, voila, no more wrinkles. On this side, I'm going to do the same thing. And you don't even have to pin exactly. You don't even have to do both sides. If you feel like you're straight and you're okay, just do the one side. But just recognize that the widest is here. It tapers to nothing at the base of the neck. Also, you want to keep in mind, and that looks so much better, those wrinkles there are completely gone. Now, the next thing I see, and just do exactly like what I'm doing, take one thing and just go down the way, is that there's some wrinkles around the bust area. And even though I've picked up the shoulders, those wrinkles are still there. So I want to tighten that a little bit, and I can't do it unless I put a dart in. So if you hate darts, you're going to have wrinkles. You're going to have that's your choice. Darts, wrinkles, darts, wrinkles. Personally, I'd rather have darts. I'm going to show you in a blouse a little bit later on how nice that fit is just with a small dart. So in this case, I would just, and also the lack of the dart brings these angular wrinkles right in here. That's because there's too much length at the side seam. It's right in the middle, and you'll also notice at the hem that the blouse pulls up, and that's because there's more length in the center of the body than there is at the side. So all that dart's doing is taking away extra fabric that's not needed at the side. So you can see if I can reach over here and just put a pin in there. It doesn't have to be exact. You'll get the amount, and once you take it off, you can see that you can kind of fix that. But now you see where that side of that blouse hangs completely smooth, and it all aligns where it's supposed to. And I can just finish that dart out. It'll taper to a point. It'll taper to nothing. Now keep in mind that this is really, I don't know that I would start with a blouse without a dart. I would start with a pattern that had a dart. And then you're really just going to either keep the dart like it is, or you're going to make it a little bit larger to take away that extra fabric. You don't have to actually put it in. But I wanted you to see a blouse without a dart at all so you could really see what the difference is. Now, some questions come to mind when we're looking at this dart. Number one, look where it stops. It stops way below my bust point. But it doesn't have to be at the bust point. What you learn about darts, and we've talked about this on other DVDs, is that there's a bust circle that goes around the bust point. And as long as that dart falls within the bust circle, it will do the job. And the job of the dart is to take away that extra fabric, which is exactly what it's doing. So I wouldn't change the back. Notice it's shortening the side seam. I would cut the pattern and add the dart appropriately. We're not going to do that here. But just make sure that you know how to cut and add. And you'd open up the space that you need for the dart, and then you would go from there. And that looks so much better. And as we look at the blouse straight on, you can really see how nicely this side hangs, and you see the diagonal folds. Diagonal folds always indicate to you that there is a dart. Something's missing. It's either the angle of the shoulder or the bust dart. One of those two issues on a blouse. Blouse and jacket. We're going to show you some jackets, but first on a blouse. All right, so let's just go to our pattern here. Let's go to our magic little pattern, and let's transfer back the changes that we made. The very first thing we did is we pinched up the shoulder seam. So I would look at the shoulder seam, see how much I changed. I'd mark it here, and then I would draw a straight angled line. The dart, the shoulder seam is a dart. The dart is a shoulder seam is a dart. It's two angled lines that come together. So once I take that away, I'm going to taper it to nothing, right to the base of there was nothing wrong here, so I didn't make any changes there. The other thing I've done is I've made this dart larger. We'll pretend there's a dart. So if that's the case, I would take the difference of how much I've made it larger by, and I would increase both sides just slightly, and then so that the side seam wouldn't be shorter, I would simply add on to the bottom. So I would add this amount and add it down to the bottom, make this dart larger, make the side seam longer, and boom, it would fit the back without any problem. And so that's all the process that I need to go through on this particular blouse. So you can see where when I went to pin my shoulder, was it a little awkward? Yes, but you can do that. You just need to recognize that it's the shoulder seam that causes the gapping, and it's the bust dart that causes, those are the two issues that cause gapping.